What's up? You're listening to AIM Student Radio, supposedly the way radio should be. I'm sitting here as V because I got bored and I'm not doing audio stuff today. Also, fun fact, I haven't slept since like 7 p.m. last night, so it'll be an interesting show today when Josh actually shows up. Anyway, that was What's Up by Four Non-Blondes. I've never heard that song outside the context of memes. Because you got the He-Man one, and there's some TikTok sounds. Anyway, I'm just jumping into honestly fill time because I'm bored, and we're gonna get you some weather because weather's important, supposedly. In Windsor, it's 72 degrees Fahrenheit currently. It feels like 70, and you got a low of 33 tonight. In Fort Lupton, it is currently 72 degrees Fahrenheit. With a low of 34, and it feels like 69. In Loveland, it's 71 degrees Fahrenheit. It feels like 69, and you got a low of 36. And in Greeley, it's 69 degrees Fahrenheit. It feels like 69 degrees Fahrenheit, which is too hot. I want the snow. I want more winter. I like cold weather. If you don't like cold weather, you can fight me. Also, Greeley, we got a low of 31. I should probably talk about that. Tomorrow in Greeley, we got a high of 63 and a low of 31. 17% chance of precipitation. I kind of hope that gets higher. I like rain. I like snow. I like the cold weather. You know, I can always put on another jacket. I can't take off my skin. Anyway, before we jump back into some music, quick note, spring break starts March 14th through the 20th. So there's no classes. Woo. Also during that week, though, you got Weld Farms Family's Fresh Food Truck showing up on March 16th from noon to 1:30, or, while supplies last. And then once we get back from spring break, we got midterm week. Yay. Only thing to really be cognizant of currently is the Loveland Campus Student Art Show. The QR code to apply for the Spring Student Art Show, which is in Loveland, and for the chance to win a 3-credit scholarship to Ames, QR code is on the toilet paper, which can be found in your nearest restroom, and of course you can find it online. The application closes March 21st, 2022, and the actual show takes place April 8th. From 5 to 9 p.m. at the Ames Loveland campus. So, and there's no restrictions. All Ames students are invited to apply. So I guess the restriction is you got to be an Ames student. Which, if you're listening to this and you're not an Ames student, it's college radio. Who cares? Anyway, I'm starting off the dumpster fire nice and trashy. Up next, we got Level of Concern by 21 Pilots here on AIM Student Radio, the way radio supposedly should be. Welcome back to AIM Student Radio. I'm afraid I have some bad news, folks. Josh has officially shown up, and that means the dumpster fire has officially started.
The dumpster fire doesn't start until we're both here.
It's like an arson attack. You need fuel and you need fire.
Don't you need a spark, too?
Well, that's fuel and fire. The fire is the spark. We obviously don't condone arson.
No, that's illegal and immoral. Don't do it.
I would just say illegal. I'm not gonna argue the morality of certain things. That's not my place. I'm just a stupid insomniac who apparently talks on the radio now. Not even the good radio. Like, this is the way radio's supposed to be. This is a tad sad. They let you and I on here, so.
True, but what can I say? We're just here. Variety is the spice of life. That's just what we got to do. We got to change it up a little bit.
So what are we, like the forgotten thing of ginger in the back of the cabinet that never got opened?
We're that bag of oregano in the back cabinet that just everyone that we know it's there, but we always forget until you realize, oh, it's there. You open up the cabinet like you're searching for another ingredient and you're like, oh, hey, that bag of oregano's still there. That's where we are.
And yet the bag of oregano never gets used. They always just buy like a new shaker thing of oregano.
With my parents, we actually still, it's funny, my mom's had the same container that she puts the oregano in, and I'm pretty sure she's had it since before I was born.
Hey, cool. Anyway, we're going to get back to the music. Just wanted to jump in and mention that Joshy Washy showed up. I'm waiting for my stupid nickname.
I can't really think of one. Like, I want to say V, but that's a cyberpunk thing, too. I can't say Dollar General Skrillex, because that's how I have you saved in my phone. But I just said it.
We'll talk about this off air.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, yes, we'll talk about this off air. Don't worry, Josh. Anyway, we're going to get back to the music, and then after the top of the hour, we're going to jump in and start talking about songs that gave us a little surprise, whatever that might mean, because we left it kind of vague. We're also just trying to keep it upbeat, because stuff's happening.
Yes.
Anyway, you were just listening to Overwhelming by Jon Bellion. And up next is It Feels So Good by Steven Tyler. Here at AIM Student Radio, apparently the way the radio should be.
Yes. And welcome back to AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. I'm Josh. Just wanted to jump on here really quickly before the top of the hour. Just let you know that meanwhile V is away, just wanted to give a quick shout out to anybody who's going to go watch The Batman tonight. I'm going to be at the 7 p.m. showing here at the Cinemark in Greeley. If I see any of you all there, well, just, stop by, say hi. Let's enjoy this great movie. It's gotten utterly great reviews. Now let's go ahead and bring it back to the music here on AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. Let's bring it back to Mama by Jonas Blue featuring William Singe. And I probably butchered that, but that's okay. And welcome back to AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. I'm Josh here with V. We are here on the dumpster fire. So we just wanted to go ahead and jump on real quick and start our conversation today, which is where V and I both made a playlist of songs that essentially surprised us upon the first listen, but it's in a good way.
First things first, pull down my fader. Okay, because, I saw how I was like, oh, I'm on the hot mic, too. But before we do that, should we mention that Ghost released a new single?
Yes.
Music news. Ghost, a band which we both enjoy.
Very much so.
Released a new single. It's called 20s. It's definitely a tad different than, like, Hunter's Moon and what's
Call
the
Me
other
Little
one?
Sunshine.
Call Me Little Sunshine. Yeah, it's different.
Yes.
Great. I enjoyed it. Had more of a horror movie-esque thing to it, but
yeah, it seems like they're really starting to vibe more into, I guess, like the more horror-y kind of sound. I mean, obviously this is way different than Hunter's Moon and Call Me Little Sunshine, but it still has that overall just kind of that horror element to it, which is so synonymous with Ghosts. If you ever see any of their music videos, ever see them live, they just have the whole thing going.
Well, they are like a sort of fake Satanist band, so it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, getting into our surprises playlists.
Yes.
Let's see. You want to start or should I?
Oh.
I mean, I have mine pulled up, and you seem to be struggling.
Oh, no, I just got mine pulled up. My Spotify was just being silly for a second. So I wanted to go with the first one. Just kind of a curveball in here.
Are we talking honorable mentions first?
Let's go ahead and do the honorable mentions. I am sorry, folks. I've been up since 3:30 this morning, and y'all can tell.
I've been up since 7 p.m.
But you have unnaturally powerful energy. I do not.
I really don't. I just have a lot of caffeine.
I'm at the age where even that much caffeine can't keep a man going.
Well, I'm not a man, so.
Cannot keep a human going.
That's debatable.
So my first one, for my honorable mention, I just decided to throw it on here, and I can already hear V giving me flack about this, but the first one I actually wanted to mention was Power by the artist now known as Ye.
No comment.
So the thing with it is it's about a 5-minute song. It came off of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which still to this day is my favorite Ye album. Just the whole album is just this entire, think of it as maximalist production at its peak, where you take, your standard hip hop production values amp them up by like 20, you get the album. Still to this day, none of Ye's albums sound like that. I'm not even sure if he himself can even top that, but the song itself just has this real, it was kind of like his coming out where we really began to see the ego that we all know with Ye just really start getting unleashed. Like there were always all these jokes back in 2016 when he, or was it 2020 when he ran for president, that that would be his theme song if he actually won.
I'm going to confess something. I don't think I've ever actually listened to a Kanye song, at least not knowingly. And 2, the only thing I know about My Beautiful Dark Yada Yada, that is the like joke album for Anthony Fantano. Like he gave that one like a horrible rating or something. And it's like people got mad. I don't know. I don't know anything about it, so I can't comment.
It's different. Just, like how do I say this? Well, every Ye album is a little bit different, but that one's probably the most different. Like you can't even really call it a hip hop album, honestly.
Oh, we're throwing it to me, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to say my first honorable mention is Savior by St. Vincent, specifically the piano version.
Oh, there you go. I've heard that one actually.
Honestly, this is basically just a sub for the whole piano album. The Mass Seduction, but it's all lowercase or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of that, I think all of it was done live. And, listening to her mainstream songs, which are all like very heavily produced.
Yes.
Obviously there's a lot of vocal things. But that's something that you can take and retake. And then hearing it live with just the piano as backing, it's like, holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
And also hearing someone actually play the strings of a piano rather than hitting keys, that was cool. And that's what happened in Savior. I believe he plucked the pianos.
Like actually plucked the... Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a representative for that album, but, like, I really like St. Vincent. Like,
yes.
I'm still trying to get my mind around Daddy's Home, her more recent thing, but Annie Clark does some cool stuff.
Very true, very true.
You want me to throw in my next honorable mention?
Yes. Yeah, go for it.
This next one's pretty short. It's Sea Dragon, featuring Mario Camarena by Covet.
Oh, there you go.
Which is kind of like math rocky prog stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of these, it's like my first introduction to the thing. It's not necessarily the first thing, but it's the first introduction. And so this was A, my first kind of introduction to a lot of math rock stuff, and B, my first introduction to Yvette Young, who is one of my favorite guitarists.
Yes.
And it's really cool because also this is my first introduction to songs played on a 7-string that's not heavy. This is a very clean, slightly overdriven song at times, but she plays it on a 7-string, and she does a lot of tapping and stuff, like crazy talented, like holy crap.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was just kind of the surprise for me, was figuring out, hey, this song is A, played on a 7-string, and B, just actually getting to hear that for the first time.
Okay. So for my second honorable mention, I'm going to have to go with Mad World by Gary Jules, but specifically the alternate version, because on his album and the Donnie Darko soundtrack, it had the version of his cover of Mad World that we all know, but at the very back of the album, it was almost a hidden track. There's an alternate version where they added in some extra strings, like you hear a slight guitar, you hear slight percussion, like the drums are not hard. It's almost like they're hitting it with like a whisk almost, but it gives the song this completely other feel. It honestly sounds a lot creepier. I'm almost sure that it plays, I want to say, close to the end of the movie. I haven't seen the movie in a second, but it does have that extra element that they add to it. Just gives it a much creepier feel, and it definitely segues into kind of the whole tone of the movie, because the whole movie itself is really freaky.
Sorry, I zoned out there. I blame the sleep deprived, because I'm definitely fading. What was the movie? Sorry.
Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko. Okay, I've heard of that one at least. Haven't seen it, but that seems to be the running thing here, is you pick a lot of movie songs from movies that I haven't seen, which honestly isn't hard. I haven't seen a lot of movies. But yeah, Mad World. I need to... This is a thing, like, you won't know, like, most of the songs on my list, so... Anyway, that's our honorable mentions. Do we want to actually get back to listening to music?
Let's-
Unless you have more to mention?
Let's go ahead and bring it back to the music here on AIM Student Radio. We're coming up next with The Crow and the Butterfly by Shinedown. Keep in mind with Shinedown, you might hear something about them later on the Dumpster Fire here. So here we go, AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be.
And welcome back to AIM Student Radio, where Josh can't seem to hit the right buttons, which allows us to spoil his next song.
Oops.
I'm just glad that none of us cursed in that time thinking we were off mic.
Yes, that's why you always assume that the mics are hot.
At least when you're on the board, because you can't seem to hit the right button.
That was just once, okay? And that was just today. As you can tell, folks, we are very sleep deprived.
Anyway, we are talking about songs that have surprised us in generally a good way. It was very vague. It was just songs that surprised us, but we kind of took that in a good way. We're going to kick it off here. I'm going to kick it off. Cigarette Ahegao by Penelope Scott.
Oh, there you go.
Weird, glitchy, electro, bedroom pop stuff. I don't know. I heard Rat, which was her song that first... Well, I should say I heard Sweet Hibiscus Tea, which is the acoustic song that really blew up on TikTok.
Yeah.
And then later I heard Rat, which is much darker, much heavier electronic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That led me to check her out. And I found Cigarette Ahegao, which is this weird blend of glitchy video game sounds, ooh-woos, and talking about things I heavily relate to because at heart, aren't we all just angsty teens?
Yes. Still am, always will be.
So yeah, it was just like it was a surprise to find the song like that, and it's really what she also got me more down the road of like kind of art pop stuff, I'll say.
Uh-huh.
I mean, she's better than Billie Eilish. I'm kidding.
The microphone didn't probably catch that, but still.
No, it probably didn't. But yeah, Cigarette Ahegao, just how cohesive of a song it was, and how much I surprisingly related to the lyrics. It's like, oh, I should seek mental help.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I think
didn't. It's expensive.
We've all definitely been there where we hear a song and we're like, whoa, this really kind of relates to us.
There was a specific line. This was, I don't smoke, I just like how it smells.
Yeah.
And I've talked, like, people, like, friends of, like, you think that cigarette... I think that cigarette smoke smells good. It's relaxing for me. I've had friends tell me that that's kind of weird. But, you know, they like the smell of gasoline, so...
Yeah, no, I was going to say, when you're comparing one to another, it's like, I think I can probably tolerate the cigarette smell more than the gasoline smell, because a lot of my longtime neighbors where we used to live, they were chain smokers, so I'm just used to the smell. Like, it doesn't faze me really that much.
Something about it just helps, like, even just the like smell of like that cheap tobacco smoke calms me down in a way. But don't smoke, kids. It's not healthy.
And it's not cheap either.
It's actually like totally proven to cause cancer, so we can say smoking causes cancer.
Yes.
Don't smoke. But you know, I don't smoke. I just like how it smells. That line was like, oh, huh. And there's a bunch of other lines in it too, but they don't have time to get into all that. So I'm gonna pass it over to Josh. So I'll say this week you said you had less movie soundtracks than normal.
Yes. So for once, I actually don't. I have less movie soundtracks and less video game soundtracks here in my playlist. So my next one is Simple Man, but it's the actual acoustic cover by Shinedown, because there are two versions of the song. The acoustic one, which is more commonly played on the radio, and then they also did a more rock cover, which is actually known as the rock version, where they actually added a little bit more electric guitars and some heavier drums. But honestly, I love the acoustic cover a little bit more, because the original Simple Man, the Lynyrd Skynyrd version, you know, it's a staple of Southern rock. It's got the heavy guitars, the booming drums. Like, you'll hear it. You go to the Stampede, you'll hear it blasted. I am guilty of when I hear it, I'm just like, yes! But that's just me. But the acoustic cover, they really did strip back quite a bit production-wise. It's for the most part, you just hear the guitars. and then Brent's vocals, which on that song, like, he really brings out kind of the message in that song, which is, a mother telling her son, like, if you're going to be anything, be a simple man, be something that you yourself can love and understand. Hey, that kind of rhymed. But just really that cover, just kind of like the first time I ever heard it, I was like, whoa, this is, and I knew about Shinedown. I hadn't actually heard that song until much later on. Then I was like, okay, this blew me away.
Yeah, I've heard the cover. I've heard both versions.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe besides their very first two albums, I've actually listened to all the Shinedown discographies.
Oh, okay.
It's I haven't gotten around to their first two albums yet. Threat to Survival, Sound of Madness,
Us and Them. Yeah, Us and Them was before Sound of Madness.
I'm having trouble remembering right now. I haven't listened to Shinedown in a hot sec. I do enjoy them. Like, you talk about staples of Southern rock, Shinedown's kind of become one of those.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great cover. I was going to say, could you equate it to Johnny Cash covering Hurt? Like, obviously not like the glory level, but it fits
spoiler.
it better. Did you put that on your list too?
Yes.
Do you want to just talk about that one now?
I might as well now, since we're already here. I mean, I wasn't expecting you to bring it up, but yes, that one too, because I had known of the Nine Inch Nails version of Hurt, which really, if you ever hear Trent Reznor's story behind it, it was written in a very, very dark period in his life when he was struggling with his vices. But then you hear the Johnny Cash cover, and you realize that this is a man that is literally, I mean, he was in his close to 80, if not 80, when he recorded it. This was a man who knew that the end was coming.
He recorded it with Rick Rubin, right?
Yeah, it was when he did all the sessions with Rick Rubin, which actually spawned like 5 albums. Because the last few years, they just were spending constant time in the studio just recording, and it came out great. But that cover, like, that's literally, if you ever think of the sound of an old man pondering his life and wondering, whether he made the right choices or not, it is that song. You watch that music video and you get the same thing. You get the juxtaposition of him and his wife at their current age. Fun tidbit: June, his wife, actually died 3 weeks after they filmed the music video, and then he died 6 months later. But that was literally like one of their last big public appearances. But the video juxtapositions shots of them in their prime, in the 60s and 70s when they had the Johnny Cash show, all the live performances. And then you have shots of them at their current age also mixed in with a lot of just symbolic imagery. You have, like the crucifixion scene from a couple of old movies. You have, there's a lot of shots of like decaying food on a table as well, kind of like symbolizing that their life is coming to an end. But overall, like, that's just still to me one of the greatest music videos just ever made.
Have you considered that you might be aging and getting old, Josh?
Yes, my hairline reminds me every day.
Oh. I didn't know you owned a mirror.
Well, I mean, it's a broken one, but I still have one.
Seeing how you showed up is like, oh. Dude, I'm joking. I'm joking. I mean, I wouldn't date you, but that's just, I wouldn't date anyone. That's not me.
Yeah.
But you're nice.
I try.
But yeah, you're not date material for me.
I know.
So sorry, you're not gonna, like, if you were hoping that, like, I could help you not be single. No. I'll throw another one in. I'll go with something a bit different. So to set the scene for this one, I just discovered a new artist through TikTok, actually, in the summer 2020. The song Chapter 319 was a TikTok sound. It was a whole protest song done by Clipping. This got me interested in the band. I found a group. I found a few songs, and I started listening to their discography. And I was working with a cleaning company at the time, and it was a vet. And I remember when I heard the song, it made me stop because I was just listening to music while I cleaned.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Get Up, featuring Marielle Jacoda. Sorry. And the song is an alarm clock. It's just the constant rhythm and tone of a basic alarm clock beeping, and then Daveed Diggs, who's the main, I guess, vocalist,
Yes.
starts rapping over this.
Mm-hmm.
And when Marielle jumps in for the choruses, the alarm clock kind of gets pitch shifted to chords, and it opens up into this great soundscape and goes back to the alarm. And it's something I had never heard done before. I'm not going to say it hasn't been done before, but I haven't heard it. I hadn't heard it done before. And it's still one of my favorite clipping songs just because it's so kind of weird.
Yeah.
And I like that weird stuff. Another tidbit. They did a live show, like a live stream live show. Oh, when I caught it live. I need to remember. I don't remember when it was. But the kind of opening shot was on an alarm clock that was counting down to the 15 minutes to when the show starts, because the live stream starts, and then they have 15 minutes for the thing to start.
Yeah.
The alarm clock hits, and the alarm goes off, and it leads into that song.
Uh-huh.
And then they mix in the single piano note from their song, Nothing is Safe. And instead of going into the chorus of Get Up, they go into the chorus of Nothing is Safe. And they actually pull some really cool transitions through the whole show.
Okay.
So one of the reasons I like them is they do some cool stuff live. I want to see them. But specifically Get Up, like I like most of their discography, but Get Up just really caught me off guard in the best way. Yeah. If you don't mind the sound of a blaring alarm, check it out. And it actually gets kind of pretty.
I was gonna say, given the neighborhood I used to live in, the sound of a blaring alarm is strangely not. How do I say this? Not comforting, but it doesn't faze me. It's just like, oh, that happened. Or now where I live about a block and a half away from the fire station over on 23rd Ave, and I'm just used to, like, all of a sudden at like midnight or suddenly like 1 a.m. hearing the fire engine just roar by my house, and it's like, oh well, there we go.
Well, maybe you should listen to clipping then. I don't know.
Yeah.
Noise, hip hop, like it's hip hop mixed with like noise music and sampling and industrial. It's great, and their last 2 albums have been very horror focused, which I enjoyed. But yeah, Get Up with the alarms.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should get back to actual music, though. We've been talking about music for a while, and we need to actually listen to music.
Yes, but before we do, just a little quick segue here. What you had heard previously to me and V getting back on the mic was 3 Nights by Dominic Fike. Killed it this season on Euphoria. I hope he's back for season 3. There is my shameless Euphoria plug. But let's go ahead and bring it back to the music with Ain't No Rest for the Wicked by Cage the Elephant here on AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. And welcome back to AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. I'm Josh here with V on the Dumpster Fire. That was When Doves Cry by Prince off of one of the greatest albums ever made, In Purple Rain. I just kind of wish we had the full version of the song, but the radio edit will suffice for now.
Also slightly topical, given one of my artists, but we'll get into that a tad later. Also, congratulations, Josh. You hit the right button this time. I'm so proud of you.
Yay! I want my gold star!
No.
I want my juice box!
No.
And my Cheetos.
No. Read the weather.
Fine. So here we go. In Windsor, we have currently 72 with a low of 33. Feels like 70 degrees right now. In Fort Lupton, we have 72 degrees with a low of 34. In Loveland, we have 71 degrees with a low of 36. And here in Greeley, we have 69 degrees, giggity, with a low of 31 tonight.
Nerd.
Ha.
Shall I read the toilet paper?
Yes.
Oh. Well, we got spring break coming up. That's March 14th through the 20th.
Spring break!
During that same week, Wild Families to Farms Fresh Food Truck is here March 16th from noon to 1:30, or at least while supplies last, and that's Student Commons in parking lot in the Greeley campus. Right after spring break gets back, we got midterm week from 21st to the 25th.
Dun dun.
And the only other thing really on here that's worth mentioning right now is, the Loveland Campus Student Art Show, which is open to all AIM students. Your applications close March 21st, 2022. QR code is on the toilet paper.
Found in your nearest restroom. Now let's go ahead and bring it back to the music here on AIM Student Radio. We're also kind of keeping it a little classic this hour with Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio. AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. And welcome back to AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. I'm Josh here with V on the Dumpster Fire. And I figure since we are still relatively early in this hour, shall we bring in a couple more songs, V?
Sure, I believe you're kicking it off this time, guy.
I am kicking it off this time. So here we go. My next song is, why am I still talking like this? So here we go. So my next one, also a little bit kind of a segue. It's No Light, No Light by Florence and the Machine. It was, I have been a fan of Florence. That second album, Ceremonial, is still my favorite one that she's done. Hearing this song for the first time, because it's got like such a classical but also kind of a modern mix at the same time, because she has harps going in the song, you got your strings in there, but you also have some kind of electronic elements and just this really heavy drum beat that just powers through the entire song. Like, you run it through some good headphones and it'll give your sound, or if you have a good sound bar or good audio setup like the one V has, it'll give it a pretty good workout.
I'm going to say something, and I want you to guess what it is.
Nerd.
I don't think I've heard a Florence and the Machine song, at least not one that I can actually link to Florence and the Machine.
That was probably the most bizarre sound I've made the entire time I've been on air. Oh boy. We have a cat in the fishbowl.
That's dangerous. Yeah, no, I've heard of Florence and the Machine, but I don't think I've actually heard any of the music, at least not associated with it, or not that I can bring to mind. So I don't know if that's sacrilegious.
Well, I mean, how do I say this? I mean, they're still pretty big. They're still sort of in the mainstream, but not compared to like what they were from, I want to say like 2009 to about 2012, 13. That was when they were really just huge.
Well, at least I've heard of them.
Yes.
I can't recall any songs at this point. Anything else to say about that?
Well, one, I would say, why am I not surprised? But also, I mean, the music video itself had this really kind of eerie feel to it, because she, throughout the video, she's getting chased around by a voodoo magician, and it's honestly it's just a really interesting video. Like, it looks like almost like they shot it on film. It has this really kind of like almost like an old school thriller kind of vibe to it, which is honestly really cool. But I'm just a sucker for Florence. Have been every time they come to Colorado. I still haven't gotten lucky, still haven't gotten to a show, but I will find a way.
I either need to get a spray bottle or a shot collar for you. I think I'd go with shot collar because I think a spray bottle would damage the electronics. Because you said Colorado.
Oh, here we go.
I guess technically, like, isn't it Colorado?
Yes.
Because Colorado is it? I want to say it's Spanish, but is it native?
I'm not sure if it's native or not, honestly, but I know because since I do speak both languages, and when I'm home and I'm not at work, I primarily speak Spanish. So I know that some words, even though I've been speaking English since I was 4 years old, some words I say a little bit, I just have a unique way of saying them, because I tend to have like both pronunciations kind of going on in my head at the same time, and then it comes out of my mouth and it's just like, oh, well, here it is. This is a word.
I have a similar thing, where it's like, specifically, like, if I say tortilla, like, I go into an accent, and I blame that on Spanish class.
Yeah.
Which I just got to 50 on Duolingo, actually. 51, technically.
Mm-hmm.
So, trying to get back into it. Yo hablo inglés, or yo hablo español muy poquito. Soy un estudiante. Yada yada yada. I don't know. I don't speak much Spanish at this point. I know enough to say, lo siento, yo no hablo español.
But I mean, that could work.
Yeah, lo siento, yo no hablo español. ¿Hablas inglés? Or, yeah. Yeah. So, I get the accent thing.
Yeah.
Jumping over to my song, I'm gonna play off the segues too. So this artist has released a few albums up to this point. He's actually a producer. He has a bunch of projects, but this particular project is like 4 albums long, and it's a whole concept thing. And it's actually the one I have tattooed on my arm.
Oh,
yeah.
there we go.
The Z album, Z1 through 4.
Mm-hmm.
This is off Z3, or Z3. He's from London, so. Z3, it's a very interesting album because the first 2 are much more world-focused, and this one is a much more personal, like, straight-up journey.
Oh, okay.
And you get to know these characters, and then you get to learn about the tragedy.
Yes.
And you're listening to this very emotional song where the main character is technically singing to his wife and daughter who are, I guess spoilers, his wife and daughter are turned into what's called a mosh, which is a weird creature that in this world, and it's a whole thing. But they're turned into a creature and they can't be rescued. It's an experiment, and it's this whole like, I'll divide myself for you. I'll wait and I'll stay.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of a verse, gunshot, and then you get like the tinnitus effect, and the song slowly kind of goes back down to a soft because at this point it's built itself up and it's starting to go soft, and then another gunshot, and then it keeps going soft, and you get the tinnitus. And then there's one final gunshot, and then like a heartbeat. And that's how the album ends. And then there's a bit of silence, and then another small voice track that leads into the next album.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, first time listening to this is like, oh, what just happened?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, no, the gunshots. And because they don't happen at like a crescendo or something. They happen in the middle of a verse.
Yeah.
Which is, or I guess chorus, technically.
Yes.
Anyway, he's actually one of my favorites, especially because he does a lot of really cool production stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking with you. He actually, one of his main guitars is actually one of the ones built by Gus Guitars, who did the kind of famous Prince guitars.
Yes, the Purple Rain guitars.
Yeah, the ones with the aluminum carbon fiber and all that. So that's a fun little coinky dink. Do we want to get back to music before we talk about more music? Because we've been talking about this a while, and we got off a bit.
Let's go ahead and bring it back to the music here on AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be, with This Is What You Came For by Calvin Harris featuring Rihanna. Fun fact, this song was actually written by Taylor Swift, and it's the biggest hit of her ex's career here on AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be.
Woo!
And welcome back to AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. I'm Josh here with V on the dumpster fire. So before we go ahead and bring it back to our discussion here, just wanted to throw in a little segue here.
Some news, if you will.
So right now, let's be honest, the events in the world over the last week or so, they've been kind of chaotic. It is kind of, and I'm going to be honest, I try to avoid watching the news as much as I can. The other day, I literally told my dad to get the TV off of CNN because I was like, no, I know what's going on, but that doesn't mean I necessarily want to look at it all day long. So just a quick reminder, Ames does have mental health resources available for students. The one that we definitely like to push
U.Ames
is u.ames.edu. You sign up with your Ames email. It is free for all students. Just a good, peer support group. In the event that you are feeling overwhelmed, which nobody blames you if you do. Believe me, like even there's some days, even though I try not to watch the news, that even I'm just like, okay, this is too much.
Yeah, I'll second that. There's also a link to a crisis line on there if you're looking for that. Reach out to your support system. Reach out if you need help. That's all kind of important right now. Other news, this is an addendum to earlier. StudentGov and a bunch of other places on campus are hiring. I think SAIL is hiring. Check out Purple Briefcase. Check out the employment tab under your My Aims if you're looking for like a part-time job next semester, because it's specifically 2022-2023. Moving on, before we get back to the actual discussion, I'm gonna make a statement, and this is my personal opinion. I've seen discussions online about people specifically getting onto Russian people, like people who are just from Russia, not even like people who live in Russia currently, because of the whole situation that's going on. If that is actually happening, please don't do that. I would say most Russian people probably, don't agree with what's happening right now. At least that is the sentiment that I personally have seen. So this is all allegedly, of course. But, be nice to people. You got more in common with the person who came here from Russia than, honestly, probably a lot of people. So, anyway, that's a segue. That's a mood killer, too. Josh, pick it up.
Okay, so for the next song here that we had on our playlist, the songs that amazed us upon the first listen. Surprised, amazed, stupendous. Suppresso.
I don't know if that actually...
Tomato, potato.
What does that actually mean in Spanish?
Which one?
Sorpreso.
Sorpreso? It's pretty much like surprise as well.
Oh.
So...
Lucky guess. I could have just said a curse word in Spanish.
No. You got lucky. I saved you. You're welcome. What can I say except you're welcome?
Dankeschön.
Okay. But, so my next one, we've actually occasionally brought it up here on the show, but my next one is actually going to be He Is by Ghost, which also we did mention Ghost a little bit earlier on today's episode as well. Certainly going with the vibe, because this song, if it wasn't for just a handful of lyrics, you could almost pass it off as like a Christian ballad. Like you could play it in a church.
Well, except it's actually a personal hot take, my opinion, except it's actually good. I spent a good chunk of time playing worship music and church music. I did not enjoy it and still don't like that music for a lot of reasons. But, so yeah, no, you could play the Ghost one, but it'd actually be good.
Yes, like the whole thing with the Ghost song, like if it wasn't for a handful of lyrics, you could literally get away with playing it in a church, but the truth is that song isn't exactly about praising God. That's all I'll say.
Well, it's about praising a God.
A God, but not the God
that the big G,
one, the big G
God.
There we go. There we go.
And yeah, Ghost did release a new single, 20s.
Yes.
It's a bit different, but it's actually really cool. I guess I'll move on to my song. My song is Congress by Tosca, Toska. They're mainly instrumental stuff. They've got a few things that have like a dialogue tracks.
Yes.
But it's all instrumental, almost prog rock in a way. Not like full prog, but it's definitely more like cinematic focused. And I put Congress on here specifically because they did a live version or a video of a live version, and I'm a bass player, and getting to see, now I can't remember his name. This is bad. Getting to see the way that the bass was actually played, where it wasn't just single string plucking and all that, where he was playing a lot of chords and other various things. It was very formative for me as a bass player, and it was nice to see that. I'm actually looking up Dave Hollingworth. That's who it is. Dave Hollingworth.
Oh, okay.
I had to get that. Dave Hollingworth. He's the bassist. And yeah, getting to actually see a bassist play chords and actually like not just playing the single low notes, which that was what I was doing at that point in my kind of bass career, I guess. That was formative for me. Also, Tosca's just good. Check them out. They're rock. And they do a lot of nice ambient passages and stuff.
Yes.
Well, I am losing it. I'm getting really tired.
Yeah, no, the sleep deprivation has hit us hard today.
I think we need to go back to the music.
Let's go ahead and bring it back to the music with the memeiest of memes. Here we have a Sandstorm on AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be.
Josh, did you put this one in here? Josh, answer
me. I actually did not put this one in here, ironically.
I don't believe you.
I didn't.
I don't believe you.
I didn't actually put it in.
Josh.
This time it wasn't me. What?
I don't believe you.
Vega may not believe me, but I did not put this in the rotation. I promise you all.
I blame you for all these issues.
And welcome back to AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. I'm Josh here with V on the Dumpster Fire. You just heard Bloody Valentine by Machine Gun Kelly. A little fun fact, when they did the remasters for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, they brought back almost all the original iconic songs, but they also added in some new ones, and that one was in there, and it actually kind of fit the tone in there. I'll be honest, on the game, it gives you the options to toggle between the new and the old songs. And that was actually one of the new songs I actually kept on there. So because the game has like a music player mode as well, where you can just listen to the songs, which I'll just do from time to time.
Seems like a worse Spotify.
I mean, maybe, but also it's kind of cool having all these songs because I had the N64 version of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, and it had not even a third of the songs just because of the limitation of the cartridge. So it was kind of cool to actually have all the songs and not have to, turn down the game volume all the way to even try to hear just a really kind of like shoddily compressed version of the song.
Fair. Before we get back into our little music discussion, I believe we each have one song left.
Yes.
I would like to address something. Joshua here tried to play All-Star by Smash Mouth. We do not stand for that here. I'm not responsible for that, and I did my utmost, and I did my Dewey, and I skipped it. So I guess you're welcome.
Only after the intro played.
Listen, I'm sleep deprived. I'm kind of running slow. I'm definitely getting you a shot collar.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Joshua?
Okay. I'm done. I know I spatted out quite a few pop culture things in like a short period of time. I'm done.
Well, we're not quite done yet because we still have one more song left to talk about each.
That we do.
Who's opening? Who's starting?
Moi. So my last song here, we're going to go ahead and go with, wow, I can't talk today. So the last song I ended up picking, it's an oldie, but it's honestly a classic. I ended up picking The Chain by Fleetwood Mac, because ever since I was a kid, when I heard that song the first time and just the entire dynamics of the song from beginning to end, it's almost like you hear two songs in one, and it's honestly still to me my favorite track off of the Rumors album. I have the CD. I don't have a cassette of it somehow. I have the vinyl. I actually bought, yes, people do digitally buy music still. I actually have it on iTunes. Same thing.
I mean, I buy CDs still.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, I do as well, but it's funny that a lot of people nowadays, because we're so used to songs being on streaming services, that like before, Spotify was a thing, like back then, if you had iTunes or Google Play Music was just kind of starting, but back then, you just had to, if you wanted to hear a song, there was no Spotify. Like if you wanted it on your iPod and you didn't have a computer with a LimeWire connection,
or YouTube MP3.
Or YouTube MP3, you had to go on iTunes and, pay your 99 cents, or then it went up to like $1.29 or something like that. And buy the song.
Oh, no, I use Bandcamp.
Well, that works too.
Speaking of Bandcamp.
Well, I mean, there was that one time at Bandcamp.
We're going to finish this discussion. And then... Well, you're never seeing your family again.
Oh, no. Nope. Please continue.
Listeners, please ignore any sounds of distress you might hear. My last song, keeping on brand, I guess, with just having a lot of depressing songs on my playlist. This song actually came out summer of 2021. I actually was able to catch it when the artist released it as a single to the public. It's called Isometrica by Violet Pony. Yes, I'm a nerd. I'm proud of it. Also, she makes good music.
Yay!
It was a very interesting song because the last few albums I've heard had been kind of rocky, a lot of electro-pop and stuff, more dubsteppy on some of the older. I hadn't heard her do rock or pop punk. And Isometrica was this it starts off rather calm, and then you jump into this big hyperpop / actual pop punk chorus, and and also the lyrics are stoked full of like emotion and a lot of stuff related to growing up as a queer kid and such, which I related to that. I wonder why. Yeah. It was just a surprise to hear that first drop, especially from an artist I definitely was not expecting it from, and it very quickly became one of my favorite songs from her. To this day, it still is. After the album came out, I did pre-order the album on Bandcamp, and then I still listen to it on streaming services, so she gets more money.
More money!
Hey, we support our artists.
Yes, we do.
I actually just bought a hoodie from her.
Yes!
From her shop, so I guess Josh will have to describe that for the listeners on the radio.
Yes, so V bought a hoodie.
Well, when I actually wear it.
Okay, when you wear
It's
the
not
hoodie,
here.
yes, I will describe it in as good of a detail as I possibly can. Let's just hope for the next episode we are not as sleep deprived, honestly.
Maybe we should just not have the next episode. This is the final
No.
episode.
We need a next episode. The audience has to know how the story ends.
Well, I have my show Monday, so I can talk about it then.
Well, you're in Dax's show.
You can
This
still
is our
talk-
show.
I can still talk about it,
Okay,
just like I can talk about Dan here.
good point.
Did I ever tell you about Dan?
No.
Okay, I'll tell you when you're ready. I'll tell you when you're older.
I'm older than you.
Yes, but you didn't found the cult.
Okay, good point.
At least I assume you did. I don't know your past.
No, I probably didn't find it. Because, honestly, my past could probably just be its own season of Euphoria. Ha! Threw it in there.
With that, I say we get back to the music, mainly so I don't strangle Josh live on air. If a corpse is found in the fishbowl, that's completely unrelated. Of course, this is all a joke.
It's all a
I
joke.
hope.
Yes, it's all a joke. We like being among the living.
No, if you actually if someone finds your body in the fishbowl, now look like the criminal. Like I'm like the number one suspect.
Everyone's a suspect.
Well, I'm number one because I literally
true.
talked about it.
Yes, so choose your words carefully, young Padawan.
No.
But let's go ahead and bring it back to the music here on AIM Student Radio by Smooth by Santana featuring Rob Thomas. We're bringing back the 1998 Billboard charts here on AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be.
In honor of Jeff.
And welcome back to AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. I'm Josh here. It's just me in the booth right now. Looks like Vega took off a little bit earlier. The sleep deprivation was really just starting to rear its head in, which is fine. You know, I get it. I myself am honestly just a little bit sleep deprived, which probably explains why this episode was a little bit, bouncy. But I guess I wanted to really go ahead and just bring it in here for you folks, for anybody listening. In between all of the hilarities and the discussions about music here on the Dumpster Fire, the truth is, really for me, this is the this is a dream come true. So just, a little bit of background with me. Yes, I am 26. I'm a little bit of an older student here at Ames, and the truth is, for the longest time I was studying business, and it was a major in which I was good at, like not just good at, but great at. But the more and more time went on, the more I realized it wasn't something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Just because I had this skill in it didn't mean I wanted to do it forever. And over the years, I just started kind of focusing on it less and less, and I was honestly dragging my feet on getting that degree. And I finally decided in August of this past year, I said, you know what? No, I'm done. I really just want to go to school, but do what I want to do. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of what stopped me doing this for so long was really just the opinions of others. Like, what would my parents think? What would my friends think? A lot of people that I've been telling them, oh, I'm studying business. What would all of them think? It was really kind of a segue and just kind of it was a swerve, completely honest, going from business and accounting and marketing management to doing this, sitting in a booth for hours and developing these shows with thee. But this really is, like I've said, this is really just a dream come true for me, and I'm really trying not to sound that emotional, but it really is. And I'm going to be honest, at first there were a lot of people that were taken by surprise. And I can't say I blame them. I mean, I'm catching myself by surprise every day that I sit in here. I go, wow, I'm doing this. But this is what I've wanted to do, and it's what I am going to continue to do. And I really do hope, as this show keeps developing and as it keeps going on, that maybe somebody out there listening maybe goes in and realizes, you know what? If that guy at 26 can say, you know what, I'm going to do it my way, I'm going to study what I want to do, if I could inspire even just one person, then that to me would have meant everything in the world. And to the people that have supported me on this journey, I'm going to be forever grateful for you. And I know that there are some people out there that might be doubting me. Well, go ahead. Keep doubting me, because I'm not going to stop. And that's just the truth. And I may sound a little unhinged right now, and I'm really trying not to be, but this is really something I've always wanted to do, and I'm doing it, and I'm going to go ahead and continue doing it. So I just wanted to lead off today's episode of The Dumpster Fire with this. If it's something you want to do, go out there and do it, and don't put a lot of stock into what other people think, especially if it's something that you're passionate about, something that you just know with every fiber of your being that you want to do. Go out there and do it. I mean, I'm getting this proven to me every single day, and I'm absolutely loving it. So I'm going to leave you with that here today, because let's be honest, right now the world is kind of in a weird place. We don't know what's going to happen in a week, a year. We don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. But keep going no matter what. That's what I'm going to leave you with here today. And honestly, I just want to leave you with a little bit more up-tempo music here on Ames Student Radio. Honestly, one of my favorite artists here. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here for the night. And I'm leaving you with Changes by Tupac here on Ames Student Radio, the way radio should be.